The king is silent, but the Prince of Wales has seen enough. Prince William has reportedly demanded the nuclear option. Why? Because Prince Harry didn't just break a family rule, he allegedly committed diplomatic sabotage. By releasing an official statement attacking Donald Trump regarding NATO and veterans, Harry has done the unthinkable. He has dragged the British monarchy into a US election. This is not a celebrity feud. This is a constitutional crisis, and the consequences could be fatal for his American life. Donald Trump has already hinted that if Harry lied on his visa about drug use, he could be deported. Now, after this disgusting and despicable political attack, that threat is more real than ever. Today, we are exposing the diplomatic breach that has terrified Buckingham Palace. We will reveal the shadow State Department, the PR firm with Democratic ties that likely wrote Harry's statement. We will take you to the empty seats at Sundance where their Hollywood dreams are collapsing, and we will uncover the brutal civil war between a king who wants peace and a prince who demands exile. Do not click away. The visa time bomb is ticking, and Prince William is ready to let it explode. Let's get into it. We call this chapter the Shadow State Department. To understand why Prince William is reportedly demanding the nuclear option, we have to look beyond what Harry said and ask, who actually wrote it? Read the statement again. The pursuit of our shared security. The defense of diplomacy. Does that sound like the prince who wrote Spare? Does that sound like the man who talks about genetic pain and Todgers? No, that is the language of a Washington lobbyist. That is the polished, weaponized syntax of a political operative. Intelligence from industry insiders suggests that Harry didn't pen this attack on Donald Trump. It was likely drafted by the shadow State Department that now controls the Sussex brand, Sunshine Sachs. For those who don't know, Sunshine Sachs is not just a celebrity PR firm. They are political fixers. They have represented Meghan Markle since her Suits days. But more importantly, their client list has historically included the Hollywood elite and deep ties to Democratic Party causes. By letting this firm draft a statement on NATO, a military alliance, Harry has allowed himself to become something incredibly dangerous, a political pawn. This is where the line was crossed. In the United Kingdom, the monarch and his family must remain strictly neutral. They do not vote, they do not lobby, they do not pick sides. Queen Elizabeth II reigned for 70 years without anyone knowing her private political views. That silence is the source of the crown's power. Harry has just sold that silence for a soundbite. He is being used as a battering ram by the American left to attack a Republican candidate, and he is too blind to see it. This brings us to a terrifying legal reality that few mainstream media outlets are discussing: the Logan Act. Passed in 1799, this U.S. federal law criminalizes negotiation by unauthorized American citizens with foreign governments having a dispute with the United States. While Harry is not a U.S. citizen, he is a resident interfering in U.S. foreign policy rhetoric. By positioning himself as a voice for NATO veterans against a potential future president, he is acting like a rogue diplomat. He is conducting back-channel diplomacy without a license. Prince William understands this. King Charles understands this. They know that if Trump wins in November, he won't see Harry as a concerned veteran. He will see him as an enemy combatant in the culture war, a foreign prince who used his title to campaign for the opposition. Harry thinks he is being brave, but in reality, he is signing his own deportation order, one press release at a time. And the people handing him the pen? They will still have their jobs in Hollywood long after Harry is kicked out of the country. This wasn't a statement. It was a suicide note for his American residency. And as the political heat rises in Washington, the temperature is dropping to freezing point in Park City, Utah. Because while Harry was busy playing politician, his actual business Hollywood was busy rejecting him. We call this chapter the Visa Time Bomb. While Harry plays the role of a political activist, he seems to have forgotten a fundamental fact of his existence in America. He is a guest, and guests can be asked to leave. This brings us to the most dangerous aspect of his recent attack on Donald Trump. Harry hasn't just insulted a politician. He has insulted the one man who may soon hold the keys to his residency. Let's look at the facts. Stripped of royal glamour, Donald Trump has already issued a direct warning. In a recent interview, he stated clearly about Harry, "I will not protect him. He betrayed the Queen. That's unforgivable. He would be on his own if it was down to me." Most celebrities would take that as a cue to keep their heads down. Harry did the opposite. He lit a fuse. The legal mechanism for his potential deportation is already in motion, driven by the Heritage Foundation, a powerful conservative think tank in Washington. They are currently suing the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, to release Harry's visa application. Why? Because of Prince Harry's own confession. In his memoir Spare, Harry vividly described his illegal use of cocaine, marijuana, and psychedelic mushrooms. Under U.S. immigration law, admitting to drug use even in a book can render an applicant inadmissible. This creates a binary trap for Harry, a catch-22 from which there is no easy escape. Scenario A. Harry told the truth on his visa application about his drug use. If he did, he would have required a special waiver to enter the country. Who granted that waiver? The Biden administration. And what one president gives, another can take away. If Donald Trump returns to the Oval Office, he has the executive power to review and revoke discretionary waivers granted to undesirable aliens who interfere in domestic politics. Scenario B. Harry checked no on the box asking about drug use. If he did, he committed visa fraud. Lying to a federal officer is a felony and acts as immediate grounds for deportation and a permanent ban from the United States. There is no Prince clause in the Immigration and Nationality Act. By writing Spare, Harry essentially handed the prosecutors the evidence they needed to convict him. But there is a third, darker theory circulating in diplomatic channels. Some experts believe Harry is in the U.S. on a rare A1 diplomatic visa, usually reserved for government officials. This would explain why he hasn't been bothered by immigration yet. But if this is true, his recent statement on NATO is even more catastrophic. An A1 visa holder is strictly prohibited from interfering in the domestic political affairs of the host country. By attacking a presidential candidate, Harry has violated the core condition of his diplomatic status. Prince William knows this. He knows that Harry is gambling with his entire life in America. He is poking the bear that could eat him. It is a strategic suicide mission. Why would Harry risk his home, his children's residency, and his safety just to issue a press release about NATO? The answer may lie in the fact that he doesn't think the rules apply to him. He still believes he is protected by the invisible shield of the monarchy. But he is about to learn a harsh lesson. In America, when the sheriff changes, the rules change. And while the visa time bomb ticks away in Washington, another disaster was unfolding 2,000 miles away in Park City, Utah. Because if Harry thought politics was brutal, he was about to find out that Hollywood is even colder. Let's go to the empty seats at Sundance. We call this chapter the Sundance rejection. If the political attacks on Donald Trump are a sign of Harry's arrogance, the events in Utah are a sign of his irrelevance. From the heat of a potential legal battle in Washington, we turn to the freezing cold reality of Park City. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle arrived at the Sundance Film Festival expecting a coronation. They left with a humiliation. They were there to promote a new documentary titled Cookie Queens, a film about the Girl Scouts organization which Meghan executive produced. The couple likely envisioned a bidding war, standing ovations, and the adoration of the Hollywood elite. But the reality was captured in one brutal image that the mainstream media tried to bury: empty seats. According to reports from inside the festival, the screening at the Eccles Theater was a disaster. While other B-grade indie films were selling out tickets to eager audiences, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex couldn't even fill the room. Think about that for a second. Two of the most famous people on the planet offering a free look at their latest project, and the industry simply didn't care. But the empty seats are just the symptom. The disease is in the contract. Before we analyze the fatal business mistake that led to this moment, I want to take a brief pause to acknowledge you, our global community. In a world filled with noisy headlines and empty celebrity gestures, your presence here, seeking the truth, means everything to us. I sincerely hope that wherever you are tuning in from today, you and your loved ones are safe, healthy, and finding peace in these turbulent times. I am always fascinated by the reach of our channel. Please, take a moment to introduce yourself in the comments below. Let us know the city and country you are watching from. Are you joining us from the winter cold of Canada, the summer heat of Australia, or perhaps right here in the US? It is an honor to have you with us. Now, back to the investigation. Why were Harry and Meghan at Sundance in the first place? This is the business insight that exposes the lie. Remember, Harry and Meghan signed a reported $100 million exclusive deal with Netflix. In the entertainment industry, these mega deals always contain a standard clause known as the right of first refusal. It means that Netflix has the first option to buy anything the couple produces. If Netflix likes it, they stream it. It becomes a Netflix original. If Cookie Queens was a high-quality production, it would be on your Netflix homepage right now alongside The Crown. The fact that Harry and Meghan were trudging through the snow in Utah, trying to sell this film to other buyers at a festival, means only one thing: Netflix rejected it. Industry insiders suggest that Netflix executives viewed the project and refused outright to host it on their platform. They looked at the final cut and decided it wasn't worth the bandwidth. So, Harry and Meghan were forced to take their product on the road, acting like desperate independent filmmakers rather than the power players they claimed to be. Meghan tried to spin this. She walked onto that stage and treated the small, half-empty room like it was the Oscars. She gave a speech thanking her team, Chanel, Leslie, Q, trying to project the image that Arkawell is still a thriving empire. But the industry sees through the smoke and mirrors. You don't hawk your wares at a film festival when you have a $100 million distribution partner unless that partner has lost faith in you. This connects directly back to the diplomatic breach we discussed earlier. Harry is acting like a global statesman, issuing directives on NATO and attacking Donald Trump. Yet, simultaneously, he is unable to sell a documentary about Girl Scouts to the very company that pays his bills. The disconnect is staggering. He is playing at politics because he is failing at business. And as the lights went down in that half-empty theater, the humiliation wasn't over. Because as soon as the microphone was turned on, the audience witnessed exactly who is running the show. If you thought the empty seats were embarrassing, wait until you see what happened on the red carpet. We call this chapter The Puppet Master on the Red Carpet. If the empty seats inside the theater were a tragedy for their business, the behavior outside on the red carpet was a tragedy for their marriage. We have analyzed the footage, frame by frame, and what we see is not a partnership of equals. It is a handler and a subject. As the cameras flashed at the Cookie Queen's premiere, viewers witnessed a dynamic so awkward it was almost painful to watch. Initially, Harry is kept to the far side of the room, literally exiled to the margins of the frame, while Meghan takes center stage. He stands there, watching, waiting for a signal, and then it happens. Meghan gives a subtle nod, the go-ahead, and Harry practically sprints across the carpet to join her, like an obedient puppy finally called to heel. It is a humiliating spectacle for a man who was once a captain in the British Army, now reduced to a prop in his wife's photo op. But the real power play happened when the microphones were turned on. There is a long-standing protocol at film festivals. The director is king. The creative visionaries speak first. But Meghan Markle reportedly broke this protocol instantly. She hijacked the moment. Before the director could properly introduce the film, Meghan seized the spotlight to deliver what can only be described as a masterclass in word salad. She described a simple documentary about Girl Scouts as a powerful and meaningful depiction of layered complexity regarding the girlhood experience. It was an Oscar acceptance speech for a movie she didn't direct, didn't write, and apparently couldn't even sell to Netflix. Critics are calling it the Blake Lively syndrome, taking credit for a project and acting as if it is her own artistic creation. overshadowing the actual people who did the work. Then came the moment that exposed the deepest hypocrisy of the Sussex brand. A reporter doing their job asked a simple human question. Do you want your daughter, Lilibet, to be part of the Girl Scouts? It was a softball question, a chance to be relatable. But Meghan's reaction was ice cold. Video analysis shows her eyes glaring, her jaw locking, and her smile vanishing instantly. She refused to answer, abruptly turning away and passing the microphone to the director, effectively shutting down the conversation. This behavior is baffling to the public. Why is she so guarded? This is the same woman who soft launches her children on Instagram when it suits her brand. She is happy to show the back of their heads or their silhouettes to generate likes and engagement. But when a reporter asks a harmless question that doesn't fit her pre-scripted narrative, she acts as if her privacy has been violated. It reveals a transactional relationship with the truth. Information is only given when she is being paid for it, or when she controls the camera angle. If she doesn't want people to be curious about her daughter, she shouldn't use her daughter as a marketing tool on social media. It is that simple. This puppet master dynamic is not just annoying, it is destructive. It reinforces the narrative that Harry has no agency, no voice, and no role other than to support Meghan's vanity projects. He is a prince who attacks presidents but cowers before his wife. And back in London, seeing this display of weakness and arrogance, the royal family has finally run out of patience. While Charles may be sighing in despair, William is sharpening his sword. The time for grey rocking is over. The time for war has arrived. We call this chapter the Palace Civil War. While Harry was busy embarrassing himself in Utah, a far more dangerous conflict was erupting behind the closed doors of Buckingham Palace. For years, the narrative has been the royals versus Harry. But today, intel suggests that the lines have shifted. We are now witnessing William versus Charles. According to high-level sources, the King and the Prince of Wales are effectively at war over how to handle the Sussex problem. The trigger was Harry's attack on Donald Trump. For Prince William, this was not just a mistake, it was the final betrayal. Insiders report that William's position has hardened into what we call the nuclear option. He believes that Harry's intervention in the US election is disgusting, despicable, and goes against all diplomatic norms. William argues that by allowing Harry to keep his titles while attacking a potential future president, the monarchy is complicit in the insult. William wants a strategy of exile. He wants the titles stripped. He wants the line of succession amended. He wants the half-in, half-out experiment to end immediately. He sees Harry not as a brother, but as a rogue state operating within the family, a diplomatic liability that must be neutralized before he destroys the special relationship between the UK and the US. But here is where the civil war begins. King Charles disagrees. And worse, reports suggest the king might be playing a double game. While William is furious, sources indicate that Charles seems to be giving in to the idea that Harry and Meghan can exist in this gray area. Even more shockingly, there are reports from royal correspondents like Tom Sykes suggesting that Charles actually backed Harry's position on NATO. There were briefings to British newspapers claiming that Trump had backed down on his NATO comments after back-channel concerns were raised by the king. Think about the arrogance of that. If true, King Charles is using his son's reckless press statement to take credit for influencing US foreign policy. For William, this is a diplomatic misstep of epic proportions. He sees his father's actions as weak and dangerous. William understands what Charles apparently does not. You cannot appease a bully, and you cannot play politics with Donald Trump. If Trump returns to power, he won't care about Charles's back channels. He will remember that the king's son publicly attacked him, and the king did nothing to stop it. This fracture reveals a terrifying reality for the future of the monarchy. We are seeing a clash between sentimental monarchy and survival monarchy. Charles is ruled by emotion, the guilt of a father who feels he failed his darling boy. He still believes in the open door, in the hope of reconciliation. William is ruled by duty. He looks at the poll numbers. He looks at the geopolitical map. He sees that Harry is a cancer on the institution. William is effectively acting as the Shadow King. He is the one demanding the hard line because he is the one who will have to clean up the mess. He knows that if Harry is deported from the US, he will come running back to Britain. And William's nightmare scenario is Harry returning to UK soil, bringing his toxicity, his lawsuits, and his political activism back into the heart of London. The friction is real. This isn't just about how they deal with international relations. It's about the very survival of the crown. William looks at his father and sees weakness. He sees a king who voiced discontent to Boris Johnson about Rwanda and is now meddling in US affairs through Harry. William knows that the only way to save the firm is to cut the limb off entirely. But as long as Charles holds the pen, Harry keeps his titles. And as long as Harry keeps his titles, he drags the entire family down with him every time he opens his mouth. So, Harry finds himself in a unique position of destruction. He has alienated the US government. He has alienated Hollywood. And now, he has inadvertently started a war between his father and his brother. The walls are closing in from every side. Which brings us to our final conclusion. Harry and Meghan are running out of road. They have played every card. The victim card, the race card, and now the political card. But when you run out of cards, the game is over. As we close the file on this diplomatic disaster, the reality for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex is stark. They find themselves in a pincer movement of their own making. In America, they have antagonized the potential future president, putting Harry's visa at risk by playing political games he is not qualified to play. In Hollywood, they have been humbled by empty seats and a rejection from the very streaming giant that pays their bills. And in Britain, they face a brother who is no longer willing to tolerate the damage they inflict on the crown. The lesson of this saga is profound. You cannot serve two masters. Harry wants the privileges of a prince and the freedom of a political activist. He wants the protection of the monarchy while attacking the diplomatic norms that sustain it. But as Prince William correctly identifies, this half-in, half-out model is a failure. True independence requires accountability. If Harry wants to speak like an American politician, he must accept the consequences of an ordinary citizen, including the risk of deportation. He cannot use his titles as a shield while he wields his voice as a sword. Now, I hand the gavel over to you, the jury of public opinion. We are witnessing a clash of philosophies between a king who hesitates and a prince who demands action. Whose side are you on? I want to hear your voice. Type William if you support the nuclear option. Strip the titles and cut them off completely. Type Charles if you believe the king is right to maintain diplomatic peace, even if it looks like weakness. If you value our deep dive analysis into the stories the mainstream media glosses over, please smash that like button. It helps us keep the lights on and the truth coming. Don't forget to subscribe to Legacy's Edge and ring the bell so you never miss the next briefing. The diplomatic war has begun, and we will be here to cover every battle. I'll see you in the next episode.